The baby's shoes were so small they fit in the palm of my hand. White leather, soft as a whisper. Laces so delicate I was afraid to touch them too hard in case they disappeared, in case this whole thing disappeared, in case I woke up and realized the past hour had been another cruel dream my grief-soaked brain had manufactured to torture me. But the pregnancy test in my purse was real. The blood work Dr. Silva had called about an hour ago was real. The 8 weeks of pregnancy growing inside my body, 8 weeks further than I'd made it in over a year, that was real too. I was pregnant, after 5 years of trying. After 7 losses that had carved pieces out of my soul I'd never get back. After watching my body fail over and over while my husband grew colder and my mother held me and whispered that it would be okay, that next time would be different. Next time was now. And I was terrified and hopeful and so desperate for this to work that my hands were shaking as I drove home. One palm pressed flat against my stomach like I could protect this tiny cluster of cells through sheer force of will. "Please stay," I whispered to my belly, to the baby that was maybe the size of a raspberry right now, that had a heartbeat, that had tiny arm buds forming, that was real and alive in mine. "Please don't leave me like the others did. Please." My phone buzzed on the passenger seat. Kale's name flashed across the screen. Finally responding to the text I'd sent an hour ago. "Coming home early. Good news. I love you." His reply was short. "Okay. Just okay. Not what's the good news, or are you all right, or I love you too. Just okay." That should have hurt. Should have been another reminder that my husband of 6 years had become a stranger over the past 5 years of trying and failing to give him a child. But I pushed the hurt down because today was going to change everything. Today I was going to walk through our front door with these baby shoes and watch his face transform. Watch 5 years of disappointment melt away. Watch him remember why he married me in the first place. The house was quiet when I pulled into the driveway. Kale's car was there, which meant he was home, which was perfect. I'd imagined this moment 100 different ways during the drive. Maybe I'd make him close his eyes and put the shoes in his hands. Maybe I'd just blurt it out the second I saw him. Maybe I'd start crying before I could say anything and he'd know. He'd just know, and he'd pull me into his arms, and I grabbed the small gift bag with the shoes and practically ran to the front door. My heart was beating so hard I felt dizzy. This was it. This was the moment that made the past 5 years worth it. This was when we got our happy ending. "Kale," I called out as I stepped inside. "I'm home." Nothing. The house swallowed my voice and gave nothing back. Strange. His car was here. He had to be home. Maybe he was upstairs. Maybe in the bedroom. Maybe he'd been working late nights again and was taking a nap. He'd been so tired lately. Coming home exhausted when he came home at all, sometimes staying at the office overnight because of client emergencies. I climbed the stairs with the gift bag clutched to my chest. Each step felt surreal, like I was walking through a dream. Like the universe was holding its breath, waiting to see what happened next. The bedroom door was closed. We never closed it during the day. Never. I heard something from inside. A sound I couldn't quite identify. Movement maybe. Or voices. Low and muffled. My hand was on the doorknob. I was smiling, I realized. Actually smiling for the first time in months, because in a few seconds Kale was going to know, and everything was going to be different and better, and I opened the door, and my entire world ended. Kale was in our bed. In the bed we'd picked out together 6 years ago. In the bed where we'd made love and held each other and whispered about the future. In the bed where I'd cried myself to sleep after every miscarriage while he stroked my hair and told me it wasn't my fault. He was in that bed with someone. A woman. Naked. The two of them tangled in the sheets I'd washed 3 days ago, in a space that was supposed to be ours, in the room where we'd been trying to make a baby for 5 years. The gift bag fell from my hands, hit the hardwood floor. Baby shoes tumbled out, white leather stark against dark wood, and I watched them fall like I was watching from very far away. The woman turned to look at me. I saw her face. My mother. The sound that came out of me wasn't human. Wasn't anything I'd ever heard before. Something between a scream and a sob. Something that came from a place so deep inside me, I didn't know it existed until that moment. My mother. My mother who'd raised me alone after my father died. My mother who'd held me through every miscarriage. My mother who'd made me special tea and told me everything would be okay. My mother who'd been my only constant support through 5 years of hell. My mother was naked in my bed with my husband. "Micah." Kale's voice cut through the ringing in my ears. "Come. Like always. Like this was a business meeting and not the complete annihilation of everything I'd believed about my life. This isn't what it looks like. My mother laughed. She actually laughed, and the sound was so familiar it made me want to vomit. I'd heard that laugh 1,000 times. At family dinners, during phone calls, in hospital rooms, after miscarriages when she'd held me and told me we'd try again. "Oh, honey," she said, and she was smiling. Actually smiling. "It's exactly what it looks like. Did you really think we'd keep pretending forever?" I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process the words coming out of her mouth because they didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. This was a nightmare. Had to be. Any second I'd wake up in my car outside Dr. Silva's office and realize I'd fallen asleep and dreamed the pregnancy test, and the good news, and coming home, and, "Sit down, Micah." Kale was getting out of bed now. Pulling on pants like this was normal. Like I hadn't just walked in on him with my mother. "We should talk about this." Talk about, my voice came out strangled. "Wrong. You're in bed with my mother. What is there to talk about?" "Oh, so much." My mother stood up too, and she was wearing something now. My robe. My soft blue robe that I wore after showers. She put it on slowly, deliberately, and something about that, about her wearing my things while sleeping with my husband, made everything more real and more impossible at the same time. "Mom." The word came out small. "Broken." "Why? Why?" She tilted her head like she was considering the question. Like this was an interesting philosophical debate and not the destruction of everything. "Because I'm tired, Micah. So incredibly tired of playing the devoted mother while you lived your pathetic little life." The words hit like punches, each one landing in a different place, all of them drawing blood. "I don't understand." I was shaking now, full body shaking. "You're my mother. You're supposed to love you." She laughed again. "Sweetheart, do you know how exhausting it's been? Watching you cry about babies for 5 years. Holding you while you sobbed about your broken body. Listening to you whine about being a failure." I couldn't finish. Couldn't form words. Couldn't do anything but stand there while my mother, destroyed me with a smile on her face. "The miscarriages were just pathetic," she continued, and her voice was so casual, so light, like she was discussing the weather. 7 times you got pregnant, and 7 times you lost it. Do you know what that looks like from the outside? Weak, desperate, pathetic. Stop." The word came out as a whisper. "Please stop." "Why? You wanted to know why I'm here. I'm telling you. You've been a burden, Micah. For 5 years. Crying and failing and making everyone around you miserable with your grief. That's not." My voice broke. "Those were our babies. 7 babies. How can you say they weren't babies?" Kale's voice now, cutting through my mother's cruelty with his own brand of ice. "They were obstacles. Problems that needed solving." I looked at him, at my husband, at the man I'd married 6 years ago when I was 23 and grieving my father and desperate for someone to love me. At the alpha who'd promised to protect me and cherish me and build a life with me. "What?" I whispered. "Sit down," he said again. "Let me explain how this works." "I don't want to sit down. I want what?" I didn't even know anymore. Want this to not be happening. Want to unhear what my mother just said. Want to go back to an hour ago when I thought I had a husband and a mother and a future. "Fine. Stand then." Kale crossed his arms. "Your mother and I have been together for 2 years. Since right after your 4th miscarriage. Actually, the 14-week one. Remember that?" I remembered. "Cool. You remembered." I made it to 14 weeks. Had started telling people. Had started believing maybe this time was different. And then I'd woken up bleeding and cramping, and by the time we got to the hospital, the baby was gone, and I'd want to die too. My mother had held me in the emergency room. Had stroked my hair and told me it would be okay. Had brought me tea the next morning and "The tea," I whispered. "You brought me tea that morning. Special blend. For morning sickness." My mother's smile widened. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for. You." My hand went to my stomach automatically. "Protective. You caused that miscarriage." "I caused all of them." She said it so simply, so easily, like she was confessing to eating the last cookie, not murdering 7 of my babies. "Well, most of them. A few you managed on your own. Your body was so damaged by that point from the hormone disruptors that you couldn't hold a pregnancy even when we weren't actively interfering. Hormone disruptors. The vitamins. The special prenatal vitamins Kale had brought me from a fertility specialist. The ones I've been taking religiously every single morning for 3 years. The vitamins, I heard myself say. Dr. Silva tested them this morning. Found contraceptives. I thought maybe the pharmacy made a mistake, but no mistake. Kale's voice was so calm, so clinical. Birth control hormones, hormone disruptors, several other compounds designed to prevent implantation and interfere with early pregnancy. Your mother sourced most of them. She has quite the medical knowledge. I worked as a nurse before you were born, my mother added, like this was a fun fact and not an admission of serial murder. I know which herbs cause miscarriages, which medications interfere with pregnancy. It was actually quite easy once we figured out the right combinations. I was going to be sick, actually going to vomit right there on the bedroom floor. Why? It was the only word I could get out. The only question that mattered. Why would you do this? My mother and Kale exchanged a look. Something passed between them that made my blood run cold. Money, Kale said simply. You inherit $30 million when you turn 30, which is in 3 weeks, if you've forgotten. $30 million. My father's estate. The trust fund I couldn't access until my 30th birthday. The money that was supposed to secure my future, my children's future, the life I'd been building toward. My brain was trying to connect pieces that didn't want to fit. What does my inheritance have to do with? Everything. Kale sat on the edge of our bed, like this was a casual conversation. Why do you think I married you, Micah? You were 23, naive, grieving your father, desperate for someone to take care of you, and sitting on $30 million you couldn't access for 7 years. The room tilted. I grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. I married you for the money, Kale continued in that same calm voice. That's it. That's the only reason. You were an investment. A long-term investment, admittedly, but $30 million is worth waiting for. But the babies, I whispered. We tried for 5 years. You wanted. I didn't want anything. His voice was flat, empty. You wanted babies. You were obsessed with having babies. I just needed to keep you distracted while we figured out the rest of the plan. The plan? Keep you trying and failing to get pregnant, my mother explained, and she sounded almost eager now, excited to share the details of how they destroyed me. Document your mental decline, the depression, the isolation, how you quit your job because you were too stressed, how you stopped seeing friends because being around their babies hurt too much, how you became completely obsessed with getting pregnant to the point where it was all you could think about. You told me to quit my job, I said to Kale. My voice sounded far away. You said the stress was causing the miscarriages. And you believed me. You believed everything I told you. He almost sounded impressed. You made it so easy, Micah. Every suggestion I made, you followed. Every time you got pregnant, you told your mother first. Every time you lost it, you fell apart exactly the way we needed you to. Needed me to. I repeated the words like they might make sense if I said them out loud. You needed me to fall apart. The plan was simple, my mother said. She was enjoying this. Actually enjoying explaining how they'd systematically destroyed me. Keep you trying and failing to have babies. Watch you deteriorate mentally. Document everything. The depression, the obsessive behavior, the instability. Then, right after you turned 30 and inherited the money, we'd have you declared mentally incompetent. Incompetent. The word tasted like ash. You'd be unable to manage your own affairs, Kale explained. We'd file for emergency conservatorship. Your doctor would testify about your mental state, all those miscarriages, all that grief, how you clearly weren't capable of making rational decisions. We'd get control of your estate. You'd be institutionalized for your own safety. And your mother and I would finally be together, with $30 million to enjoy. The plan. They'd had a plan. For years. While I'd been grieving babies I thought I'd lost naturally, they'd been murdering those babies deliberately. While I'd been hating my body for failing, they'd been making sure it would fail. While I'd been trusting them, loving them, needing them, they'd been destroying me piece by piece with methodical precision. 2 years, I whispered. You said you've been together for 2 years. Since right after that 14-week loss. My mother's smile was so cruel it took my breath away. Kale approached me actually. Very intelligent man. He'd been working on this alone for 4 years, but realized he needed help. Medical help. Someone who could cause miscarriages without leaving evidence. Someone you trusted implicitly. So he seduced you. Oh no, honey. I seduced him. She laughed. He came to me with a business proposal. I'm the one who suggested we make it personal too. Why not? We were going to be partners anyway. Might as well enjoy ourselves while we waited for you to completely fall apart. I thought I'd hit the bottom of how much pain I could feel. I was wrong. You held me, I said to my mother. My voice was shaking. After every miscarriage, you held me and told me it wasn't my fault. It wasn't your fault. She smiled. It was mine. But you were never going to figure that out, were you? The tea. I was remembering now. Details clicking into place with horrible clarity. You brought me tea before every miscarriage. Special blends. For morning sickness or stress or whatever excuse you gave. Pennyroyal mostly, she said, like she was sharing a recipe. Black cohosh. Blue cohosh. A few other herbs that cause uterine contractions. Very effective. I'd bring you tea in the morning. You'd drink it gratefully because your devoted mother made it. And by afternoon, you'd be bleeding. You murder my babies. The words came out raw. Broken. 7 times. You murder my children. I solved problems, she corrected. 7 problems. 7 obstacles to $30 million. They were babies. I was screaming now. Actually screaming. They were your grandchildren. How could you? They were nothing. Her voice went hard. Cold. They were cells. Potential life. And they were in the way of what I deserved. Deserve? I choked on the word. What did you deserve? Everything your father left you. And there it was. The real rage underneath her cruelty. 20 years I was married to him. 20 years I put up with his neglect and his obsession with work and his constant disappointment that I wasn't the perfect wife. And when he died, what did I get? A monthly allowance. A small monthly allowance while you got $30 million in the estate and the family name and everything. I was his son, and I was his wife. I sacrificed everything for that man, and he left me nothing. She was shouting now, too. So yes, Micah, I decided to take what should have been mine. Cale made it easy. He had the plan. I had the medical knowledge. And you were so desperate to be loved, so desperate to trust someone that you never suspected a thing. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. My mother had murdered my babies because she was angry my father left me money. My husband had married me to steal that money. And I'd been so desperate for love, I'd let them destroy me for 5 years without ever realizing what was happening. I'm pregnant, I heard myself say. My hand went to my stomach. Right now, I'm 8 weeks pregnant. I came home to tell you. I looked at Cale. I came home to tell you we're finally going to have a baby. The silence was deafening. My mother and Cale stared at each other. That's impossible, my mother said slowly. I've been giving you the vitamins. You can't be. I stopped taking them. The words felt like admitting to a crime. 3 months ago, they were making me feel sick, nauseous all the time. I thought maybe my body just needed a break from all the supplements. So I stopped. I didn't tell anyone. I just stopped. I watched understanding dawn on both their faces. Watch calculation. Watch something that looked almost like panic. Well, Cale said after a moment. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. My baby, my living baby that had survived 8 weeks against impossible odds, was unfortunate. You're not keeping it, my mother said. Not a question. A statement of fact. Yes, I am. I backed toward the door. I'm keeping my baby, and I'm leaving, and I'm going to the police, and I'm going to tell them everything. And say what? Cale stood up, started walking toward me. That we gave you vitamins? That your mother made you tea? Micah, you have no proof. Those vitamins are gone. The tea is gone. It's your word against both of ours. Dr. Silva has proof. He tested the vitamins. He tested one bottle that could have been contaminated at the pharmacy. That's not proof of a conspiracy. Cale's voice was so reasonable, so calm, like he was explaining basic logic to a child. And even if he testified, we'd argue he's overstepping professional boundaries, making assumptions. He has suspicions, not evidence. But the miscarriages, the pattern, could be explained by any number of medical conditions, my mother added. She was walking toward me too now, both of them closing in. Autoimmune issues, genetic problems, chronic stress. Your own doctor has documented all of those possibilities in your file. There's no evidence of poisoning because we were very, very careful. I was trapped, literally trapped with my back against the wall and these 2 monsters walking toward me. Here's what's going to happen, Cale said, and his voice had gone cold now. Dangerous. You're going to come home. You're going to drink the tea your mother makes you. You're going to lose this baby like you lost all the others. And then we're going to have you evaluated for your mental health. No. Yes. He was close enough now that I could see his eyes were empty. Completely empty. You've had 8 miscarriages now. You've become delusional. accusing your loving husband and devoted mother of poisoning you. You clearly need help, psychiatric help, and we'll make sure you get it. In a facility, my mother added. A nice one, if you cooperate. A not so nice one, if you keep fighting us. And in 3 weeks, when you turn 30, that money becomes ours to manage since you're clearly not capable of managing it yourself. Cale reached out like he was going to touch my face. I flinched away. He smiled. It's already over, Micah. You just don't know it yet. You turn 30 in 3 weeks, my mother said. We were going to wait until after you inherited to file for conservatorship. But since you know now, we can move faster. File for emergency conservatorship tomorrow. Have you picked up for psychiatric evaluation? By the time your birthday comes, you'll already be institutionalized and we'll have legal control of everything. That baby you're carrying? Cale's voice was soft now, gentle, which somehow made it worse. It'll be gone within the week. Your mother's already preparing stronger herbs. Something that will work even though you stop taking the vitamins. And you'll miscarry, my mother continued. Traumatically, you'll need hospitalization. And while you're in the hospital, emotionally devastated, we'll have you evaluated. Doctors will confirm what we've been seeing for months, that you're unstable, delusional, a danger to yourself. You'll never hold that baby, Cale said, just like you never held any of the others. And that's exactly how this was always going to end. Something inside me snapped. Not broke, snapped, like a wire pulled too tight, finally giving way. I lunged for the door, shoved past my mother hard enough that she stumbled. Heard Cale shout behind me, but I was already running down the stairs, vision blurred with tears, hand pressed to my stomach protecting the tiny life they wanted to destroy. I heard them following. Heard Cale's voice. Micah, don't be stupid. There's nowhere to go. I didn't answer, just ran. Out the front door, into the afternoon sunlight that felt too bright, too normal for how completely my world had just ended. My car keys were in my hand, but I couldn't get to the car, couldn't make my shaking hands work, couldn't do anything but run. Away from them. Away from that house. Away from the monsters wearing the faces of people I'd loved. I ran down the driveway, into the street, and I didn't see the car. Didn't hear the horn until it was right there, tires screeching, black metal filling my vision. And for half a second, I thought this is it. This is how it ends. Maybe dying is easier than surviving this. The car stopped. Inches from me. Close enough, I could feel heat from the engine. Close enough that another second, and I would have been hit. The driver's door opened. A man got out, tall and furious, and I knew that face. Knew it from business events I'd been dragged to. From the rival company Cale was always complaining about. From photos in business magazines. Atlas Kane, Cale's biggest competitor. The man my husband had spent 6 years calling his nemesis. Of course the universe had decided today wasn't terrible enough. What the hell is wrong with you? Atlas was shouting. Actually shouting. You ran right into traffic. I could have killed you. I stared at him. At this alpha I'd never met, but whose name I knew, whose company I knew, whose rivalry with my husband I'd heard about constantly for 6 years. And I started laughing. Couldn't help it. The kind of laughter that comes when everything is so broken, so impossible, so cosmically terrible that your brain just gives up and decides hysteria is the only option. You're Atlas Kane, I heard myself say. My voice sounded wrong. Too high. Too manic. Cale's rival. Of course you are. Because this day wasn't awful enough without adding you too. Atlas stared at me. Really looked at me for the first time. And something in his expression changed. You're Cale's husband. Micah was. The word came out bitter. I was Cale's husband. Before I walked in on him in bed with my mother 20 minutes ago. I watched Atlas process that. Watched his face go from anger to shock to something that might have been understanding. Before I found out they've been poisoning me for years, I continued, and I couldn't stop talking now. Couldn't stop the words from pouring out. Before I found out the 7 miscarriages I've had in 5 years were murder. Before I found out they're planning to steal my inheritance and have me declared insane and institutionalized. Before all of that, I was Cale's husband. Now I'm just. My voice broke. The laughter died, and I realized I was standing in the middle of the street, shaking, with tears streaming down my face and my hand pressed protectively to my stomach and absolutely nowhere to go. I'm nothing, I whispered. I have nothing. Atlas was still staring at me, but the anger was gone from his face, replaced by something I couldn't read. You're pregnant, he said quietly. 8 weeks. First time I've made it past 6 weeks in a year. Came home to surprise my husband with baby shoes and found him with my mother instead. I laughed again, that broken sound. And now they're going to kill this baby too. Just like they killed the other 7. And I can't. I can't stop them. I can't do anything. I have no money, no proof, no one who'll believe me. Get in the car. I looked at him. What? Get in the car, Atlas repeated. His voice was firm, commanding, alpha authority that I should have bristled at, but somehow didn't. You're pregnant and in shock and standing in the middle of the street. Get in the car. Now. Why would you help me? You're Kale's rival. This is probably the best day of your life. His Omega husband having a breakdown in the street. Get in the car. Atlas opened the passenger door. I'm calling an ambulance, and you can explain all of this to the paramedics. Your choice. I should have said no. Should have walked away. Should have done literally anything other than get into a car with a man I didn't know, whose only connection to me was being my husband's enemy. But I was so tired, so broken, and Atlas was looking at me like I mattered. Okay, I whispered. I got in the car, let him close the door, watched him walk around to the driver's side and get in. He didn't start the engine immediately. Just sat there, hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead. Your husband is sleeping with your mother, he said finally. Yes, and they've been poisoning you, causing miscarriages. 7 of them. For my trust fund, I inherit $30 million in 3 weeks. They've been planning to have me declared incompetent and take it all. Alice was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low. Dangerous. How long? 5 years of trying to get pregnant. 2 years they've been together. But Kale married me for the money 6 years ago. This was always the plan. I was always just, my voice broke. I was always just the investment. And now you're pregnant. Now I'm pregnant, and they're going to kill it too. I pressed both hands to my stomach. I can't stop them. I have no proof. Dr. Silva tried to warn me, but I didn't listen, and now. Dr. Silva. Atlas turned to look at me. Your doctor tried to warn you? Tested my prenatal vitamins this morning. Found contraceptives and hormone disruptors. Told me not to tell anyone about the pregnancy. I didn't listen. I was so happy I didn't listen. I started crying again. I went home with baby shoes and hope, and now my baby is going to die, just like all the others. No. Atlas's voice was firm. Final. No, your baby is not going to die. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because I'm not going to let it happen. He started the engine. Hospital first. You need to be checked. You almost got hit by a car, and you're in shock, and you're pregnant. Then we're figuring out how to burn your husband's life to the ground. I stared at him. Why? Why would you help me? Atlas was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough, heavy with something I couldn't identify. Because 3 months ago, I lost my husband and our daughter in a car accident. Julian was 7 months pregnant. They both died. I couldn't save them. Oh God, I remembered hearing about that. Remembered Kale mentioning it at dinner once, sounding almost pleased that his rival had experienced tragedy. But I can save you, Atlas continued. I can save your baby. And I can make sure the people who did this to you pay for it. So that's what I'm going to do. You don't owe me. I don't owe you anything. But I'm doing it anyway. He pulled into traffic. Your husband is a monster. Your mother is worse. And I might be Kale's rival, but I'm not the kind of person who lets a pregnant Omega suffer because of whose husband he was. Was, I repeated. Past tense. Was Atlas confirmed? Because you're leaving him. Today. Right now. You're not going back to that house. I have nowhere else to go. Yes, you do. You're coming with me. The hospital was clean and bright and too loud. Nurses took my vitals while I sat on an exam table and tried to remember how to breathe. Atlas stayed the whole time, standing in the corner like a sentinel, his presence somehow making everything feel less impossible. They did an ultrasound. I couldn't watch the screen. Couldn't bear to see the tiny heartbeat and know it was going to be taken from me just like all the others. Strong heartbeat, the technician said. Baby looks good. Measuring right at 8 weeks. I started crying. Again. Seemed like all I did anymore was cry. They took blood. Ran tests. A doctor came in and asked gentle questions about the almost accident, about my mental state, about whether I was safe at home. No, I heard myself say, I'm not safe at home. My husband, I stopped. Started again. My husband has been poisoning me. Him and my mother. For years. They've caused 7 miscarriages. They want to kill this baby too. The doctor's expression shifted. Concerned. Skeptical. The look I'd feared. The look that said this omega is hysterical. That's quite an accusation, she said carefully. It's not an accusation. It's the truth. My doctor, Dr. Silva, he tested my prenatal vitamins this morning. Found contraceptives in them. Birth control hormones. I can give you his number. We'll look into that, the doctor said in that same careful voice. The voice that said we'll humor you. For now, let's focus on making sure you and the baby are healthy. She didn't believe me. I could see it on her face. Could see her already writing possible psychiatric evaluation needed in her notes. I believe him. Alice's voice cut through the room. The doctor turned to look at him. I'm sorry, who are you? Atlas Kane. I'm the one who almost hit him in traffic because he was running from his house in distress. And I believe every word he just said. Atlas crossed his arms. His husband has been systematically abusing him for years. Poisoning him. Causing miscarriages. Planning to have him declared incompetent to steal his inheritance. And if you don't take this seriously, I'll make sure every media outlet in this city knows this hospital ignored a pregnant Omega reporting abuse. The doctor's expression hardened. Mr. Kane. Dr. Kane, Atlas corrected. PhD. 2 of them actually. And I'm not threatening you. I'm telling you that this man needs help and protection, not skepticism. So either take him seriously or I'll find someone who will. Something in the doctor's face shifted. She looked at me again. Really looked. Dr. Silva, I said again. Please, call him. He'll confirm everything. He has test results. Documentation. Please. The doctor nodded slowly. I'll make the call. Wait here. She left. Alice came over to stand beside the exam table. Thank you, I whispered. You shouldn't have to thank me for believing you. He was quiet for a moment. Your husband really did this? All of it. All of it. Him and my mother. For 2 years they've been together. But the poisoning, that's been going on for 3 years. Maybe longer. I don't even know anymore. I pressed both hands to my stomach. 7 babies. They killed 7 babies. For $30 million. Atlas's jaw clenched. Tell me everything. From the beginning. So I did. Sitting on that exam table in a hospital gown with my hands pressed protectively to my stomach, I told him everything. About marrying Kale when I was 23 and grieving my father. About 5 years of trying to get pregnant. About the first miscarriage at 6 weeks, the second at 7, the third at 5. About how each loss had carved pieces out of me until I wasn't sure there was anything left. About the fourth one, 14 weeks. Far enough along that I'd told people. Far enough that I'd started believing maybe this time would be different. About my mother bringing me tea that morning, special blend for morning sickness, and me drinking it gratefully because she'd made it for me. About cramping that started 3 hours later. About bleeding in the car on the way to the hospital. About the emergency room doctor telling me there was no heartbeat anymore. About my mother holding me while I cried and whispering, "It's not your fault, baby, these things happen." She knew. I said, my voice hollow. She brought me the tea knowing it would kill my baby. And then she held me while I grieved the baby she'd murdered. Alice's hands had curled into fists. How many times? 7. 7 pregnancies in 5 years. The longest was 14 weeks. The shortest was 5. Most were 6 or 7 weeks. Just long enough for hope to take root before they ripped it away. And the vitamins? Kale brought them home about 3 years ago. Said they were from a fertility specialist. Better than over-the-counter. Specially formulated to help with implantation and early pregnancy support. I laughed. That bitter sound I'd been making all day. I took them religiously every morning. So grateful my husband was trying to help me. And they were poisoned the whole time. But you stopped 3 months ago. They were making me nauseous. I thought maybe my body just needed a break from so many supplements. So I stopped. Didn't tell anyone because I thought maybe I was giving up. Maybe I was being weak. But I couldn't keep taking them when they made me feel so sick. And you got pregnant. And I got pregnant. Made it to 8 weeks. Further than I'd been in over a year. I thought. My voice broke. I thought this was it. This was the miracle. This was my body finally working. But it was just my body finally not being poisoned. The door opened. The doctor came back in, and her expression had changed. She looked at me differently now. Not with skepticism. With something closer to horror. I spoke with Dr. Silva, she said quietly. He confirmed your account. He's been documenting irregularities in your case for over a year. And the test results on those vitamins, Micah, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you immediately. You did what everyone would do, I said tiredly. You heard a hysterical Omega making wild accusations and thought psychiatric evaluation. That's what they're counting on. That's why their plan works. We're calling the police, the doctor said. What was done to you? That's not just abuse. That's attempted murder. Multiple counts. They'll deny everything. They said I have no proof. You have Dr. Silva's testimony. You have test results. You have medical records showing a pattern of losses that doesn't make sense. And, she hesitated. And you have me, if you're willing to wear a wire. I looked at her. What? Get them to confess. On record. If they think you're still under their control, they might talk freely. Especially if they think you're coming back. She glanced at Atlas. Unless you have somewhere safe to go. She does, Atlas said immediately. She's staying with me. I stared at him. I can't. You barely know me. You need somewhere safe. Somewhere they can't find you. Somewhere with security. Atlas's voice was firm. I have all of that. And he paused, something flickering across his face. Pay, maybe. And I have room. A lot of room. In a house that was supposed to be for a family that doesn't exist anymore. The weight of that statement hung in the air. Atlas had lost his husband and baby 3 months ago. Was living in a house they prepared for a family that would never come home. And now he was offering to protect me and mine. I can't ask you to do that, I whispered. You're not asking. I'm offering. He looked at me directly. I couldn't save Julian and Lily. But I can save you and your baby. So let me. Atlas's house was in the hills. Private. Gated. The kind of security that money could buy. And I never had access to, even though technically I was sitting on $30 million I couldn't touch for 3 more weeks. Guest room is down the hall, Atlas said as he led me inside. It has its own bathroom. Clean towels are in the closet. If you need anything. Why are you doing this? I had to ask again. Had to understand. You're Kale's rival. You could use this against him. Destroy him professionally. Why are you helping me instead? Atlas was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. Heavy. Because 3 months ago, I was driving home from a business dinner. Julian, my husband, he was 7 months pregnant with our daughter. We were going to name her Lily. He stopped, took a breath. I was tired, exhausted from the dinner. Julian said he'd drive. I should have said no. Should have insisted. He'd been having Braxton Hicks contractions all day. But I was so tired, and he said he was fine, and I let him drive. I could see where this was going. Could see the guilt eating him alive. Drunk driver ran a red light. Hit us on Julian's side. He died instantly. Lily, his voice cracked. Lily hung on for 3 hours. Born at 28 weeks in an emergency section while Julian was already gone. Too early. Too small. She died in my arms. I'm so sorry, I whispered. I was supposed to protect them. That's what alphas do. We protect our families. And I failed. I let Julian drive when I should have been driving. I let him convince me he was fine when I knew he wasn't. And they both died because I was too tired to say no. He looked at me then, and his eyes were devastated. So when I saw you in that street today, pregnant and terrified and running from monsters, I thought, here's my chance. I can't save Julian and Lily, but I can save you. I can make sure your baby gets to be born, gets to be held by their parent, gets to live the life my daughter never got to have. That's not. You can't replace them by saving me. I know, but I can honor them by making sure what happened to them doesn't happen to you. He turned away. Get some rest. We'll figure out the next steps tomorrow. He started to leave. Atlas. He stopped. Turned back. Thank you. For stopping. For believing me. For all of it. Don't thank me yet, he said quietly. We still have to make sure you and your baby survive this. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay in the guest room of a stranger's house and try to process everything that had happened in the past 12 hours. Try to reconcile the mother who'd raised me with the woman who'd murdered 7 of my babies. Try to understand how I'd spent 6 years married to a man who'd never loved me at all. Tried to figure out how to protect the tiny life growing inside me when I had no money, no home, and no idea what to do next. Around 3 in the morning, I heard sounds from somewhere in the house. Crying. Muffled, but unmistakable. I shouldn't have gone looking. Should have stayed in my room and pretended I hadn't heard. But something pulled me out of bed, down the hall, following the sound to a room with the door cracked open. A nursery, painted soft yellow. Crib in the corner. Rocking chair by the window. little clothes folded neatly in a dresser. Everything ready for a baby who would never come home. Atlas was sitting in a rocking chair, holding something small. A stuffed animal, I realized as I got closer. A little lamb with soft white fur. He was crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent tears streaming down his face while he held that lamb and rocked slowly. This was going to be hers, he said without looking up. Somehow knew I was there. We bought it the day we found out we were having a girl. Julian saw it in a shop window and said it was perfect, soft enough for a newborn, sweet enough for his baby girl. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to someone grieving like this? I haven't been in here since, Atlas continued. Since the day I came home from the hospital without them. Couldn't bear to look at everything we'd prepared, everything they'd never use. I'm sorry. It was inadequate, but it was all I had. I dream about her sometimes. His voice was so quiet I barely heard it. About Lily. About what she'd look like. If she'd have Julian's eyes or mine. What her laugh would sound like. What would feel like to hold her and know she was mine. He finally looked at me then, and his face was wrecked. And then I wake up and remember she's gone. They're both gone. And I'm alone in this house that was supposed to be full of life and love and family. I moved into the room without thinking. Sat on the floor beside the rocking chair because sitting felt important somehow. Being at his level. Not hovering. You're not alone right now, I said quietly. No, right now I'm sitting in my dead daughter's nursery, crying in front of a pregnant Omega I met 6 hours ago. He laughed, but it sounded broken. This is pathetic. This is grief. There's nothing pathetic about grief. Julian would say the same thing. Atlas looked at the lamb in his hands. He was so good at that, making me feel less broken, making the hard things bearable. Tell me about him. Why? Because you loved him. And love deserves to be remembered, to be spoken. I pulled my knees to my chest. Tell me about Julian. So Atlas did. Sitting in that nursery at 3 in the morning, he told me about meeting Julian at a charity gala 8 years ago. About how Julian had been wearing a blue suit that matched his eyes and laughing at something someone said, and Atlas had known immediately that this Omega was going to change his life. About their first date, their first kiss, the day Julian said yes to forever. About finding out they were pregnant after 2 years of trying. About Julian's face when the doctor said, "It's a girl." About painting this nursery together, arguing playfully about whether yellow or green was better. About picking the name Lily because it was Julian's grandmother's name and meant something. About that last night, the business dinner, Julian insisting he was fine to drive. The drunk driver. The hospital. The moment Atlas realized Julian was gone and Lily was dying and everything they'd built together was ending. I was supposed to protect them, Atlas said again. And I failed. No, my voice was firm, surprising even myself. A drunk driver failed. Someone who got behind the wheel when they shouldn't have failed. The universe that lets terrible things happen to good people failed. But you love them. You did everything right and still lost them. That's not failure. That's tragedy. Alice looked at me. Really looked. Your husband made you think your body was broken, he said slowly. Made you believe you were failing when you were being destroyed. And now you're sitting here telling me I didn't fail when I lost my family. Because neither of us failed. We both lost everything to people and circumstances beyond our control. And now here we are. 2 broken people in a nursery built for a baby who'll never use it. Or, I said carefully, here we are. 2 people who survived the unsurvivable. Still breathing. Still trying. Still hoping for something better. Are you hoping? Atlas asked. After what they did to you? I put my hand on my stomach. Felt nothing yet, but the knowledge that something was growing there. I'm terrified. Every second I'm terrified this baby will die too. That I'll wake up bleeding again. That all of this, the hope, the pregnancy, the belief that maybe this time is different, will end the same way it always ends. But this baby is fighting. Made it to 8 weeks despite them trying to kill it. Survived while I was taking poison every day. Survived while they were actively trying to make sure it wouldn't. And if this baby can fight that hard, my voice broke, then I owe it to them to fight just as hard. Alice was quiet for a long moment. Then he held out the lamb. Keep this, he said, for your baby. Lily can't use it, but maybe another baby should. I took the lamb with shaking hands. It was soft, impossibly soft, and still smelled faintly of a newborn detergent they'd washed it with. Are you sure? Julian would want it to be loved, would want it to comfort a baby who needs it. Your baby needs it. He stood up from the rocking chair. And maybe it's time I started letting go. Not of them, never of them, but of the idea that keeping everything exactly as it was will somehow bring them back. Grief doesn't work on timelines. No, but it does work on choices. And I choose to believe Julian would want me to help you. Would want me to make sure your baby lives when ours couldn't. He looked around the nursery. Would want this room to represent hope instead of loss. You don't have to. I know, but I want to. He headed for the door. Paused. Get some rest, Micah. Tomorrow we figure out how to destroy the people who hurt you. He left. I sat there in the nursery holding a lamb mint for a baby who'd died, in a house belonging to a man who'd lost everything, and tried to believe that somehow this was all going to work out. Morning came too fast. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows, and for half a second I forgot where I was. Forgot everything that had happened. Then it all came crashing back, and I had to run to the bathroom to throw up. Morning sickness, or trauma, or both. When I finally emerged, Atlas was in the kitchen making breakfast. Toast, he offered. Apparently it helps with nausea. How do you know that? Julian had terrible morning sickness the first trimester. Toast and ginger tea were the only things he could keep down. He set a plate in front of me. Eat. We have a lot to do today. Like what? Like calling your doctor and getting copies of all your medical records. Like meeting with the lawyer I contacted last night. Like figuring out how to get your husband and mother to confess on record. He sat across from me with his own coffee. And like making sure you're actually okay. You almost got hit by a car yesterday. You're pregnant. You're in shock. Those things don't just. I'm feeling it. You're not fine. You're surviving. There's a difference. I took a bite of toast to avoid responding. He was right, of course. I wasn't fine. Wasn't anywhere close to fine. But I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. Now my baby's life depended on me holding it together. Dr. Silva is coming here in an hour, Atlas continued, bringing all your medical records. The lawyer. Her name is Rebecca Morrison. She specializes in omega abuse cases. She'll be here at noon. We're building a case. A real one. With evidence and testimony and everything you need to make sure they never hurt you again. They said I have no proof. They lied. You have plenty of proof. You just didn't know it yet. He pulled out his phone. Show me something. I also had my security team pull your house's security footage from yesterday. Got all. You arriving home. Them following you out. The things they yelled after you. I watched the footage. Saw myself running from the house. Saw Kale and my mother standing in the doorway. Heard Kale shout, "You'll be back. You have nowhere to go." Heard my mother's voice, cold and clear. "That baby won't last 2 weeks. I'll make sure of it, just like all the others." That's a confession, Atlas said. Not complete, but enough to establish intent. Enough to prove they knew about the pregnancies, knew about the losses, and were planning to cause another one. I stared at the screen, at my mother's face saying those words, at the woman who'd raised me promising to murder my 8th baby just like she'd murdered the first 7. I need them to say more, I whispered. Need them to admit everything. The poisoning, the plan, all of it. Then we get you to wear a wire. Call them. Get them talking. They won't talk to me now. Not after yesterday. They'll know something's wrong. Maybe. Or maybe they think you're scared and helpless and will come crawling back. Atlas's expression was grim. Abusers rely on their victims feeling powerless. They've spent 5 years making you believe you can't survive without them. They might think you still believe that. What if I do? The words came out small. Scared. What if part of me still thinks they're right? That I'm nothing without Kale? That I can't do this alone? Then it's good you're not alone. Atlas reached across the table. Didn't take my hand. Just let his palm rest near mine. Close enough to be an offer without being a demand. You have me. You have Dr. Silva. You have Rebecca. You have everyone who's going to help you burn their lives to the ground for what they did. Why? I had to ask again. Why are you doing all of this? We're strangers. You owe me nothing. We're not strangers anymore. Not after last night. Not after you sat with me in Lily's nursery and let me grieve. He was quiet for a moment. And maybe I'm doing this because someone should have been there for Julian and me when we needed help. Someone should have stopped that drunk driver before he got behind the wheel. Someone should have protected us. They didn't. But I can protect you. So I'm going to. The doorbell rang before I could respond. Dr. Silva came in carrying a thick folder and looking like he hadn't slept. Micah, thank God. When you didn't answer my calls yesterday, I thought. He stopped. Looked at Atlas. Atlas Kane. Doutor Silva. They shook hands. Some understanding passing between them I didn't catch. You're helping him? I'm making sure he and his baby survive. And making sure the people who did this pay. Atlas gestured to the kitchen table. I assume that's the medical file? Everything I have. 3 years of documentation. Dr. Silva sat down, opened the folder. Micah, I need you to understand something. I suspected. For over a year, I suspected something was wrong. The pattern of your losses didn't make medical sense. Every test came back normal. Your body was healthy. There was no reason you should be experiencing recurrent pregnancy loss. But you didn't say anything, I said. Not an accusation. Just a fact. I didn't have proof. Just suspicions. And accusing a patient's husband of poisoning them without evidence. He stopped. I should have done more. Should have pushed harder. I am sorry. You tested the vitamins. You tried to warn me yesterday. You believed me when no one else did. I looked at the folder. That's more than enough. Dr. Silva opened the file. Showed me page after page of notes. Dates. Test results. His observations written in clinical language that still somehow conveyed his growing suspicions. I started documenting everything about 8 months ago, he explained. When you came in after your 6th loss. Something about the timing felt wrong. You called me the day before saying you were pregnant. Excited. Hopeful. And then 12 hours later you were miscarrying. It was too fast. Too convenient. Convenient? For someone who wanted you to lose the pregnancy. If they knew you were pregnant and acted immediately, he pulled out another page. And then there was your 5th loss. You came in for bleeding. I did an ultrasound. The baby had died days before, but your body hadn't recognized it yet. Hadn't started the miscarriage process. When I asked about symptoms, you said you'd been drinking herbal tea your mother made. Special blend. The tea, I whispered. I looked up the herbs you described. Pennyroyal, black cohosh, blue cohosh. All of them are known abortifacients. All of them can cause uterine contractions and fetal death. Dr. Silva looked sick. I should have said something then. Should have. You couldn't accuse my mother without proof, I finished. Just like you couldn't accuse Kale. I understand. I failed you. No, they failed me. You did what you could within the bounds of medical ethics and legal protection. I looked at the file, but now we have proof. Now we can prove everything. Doutora Silva nodded, pulled out another paper. The test results from the vitamins. Birth control hormones. Mifepristone, that's an abortion medication. Misoprostol, another abortion medication. And several hormone disruptors that interfere with implantation and early pregnancy development. They were giving me abortion pills, I said flatly. Every single morning for 3 years. I was taking abortion medication, thinking it was prenatal vitamins. Yes. And the combination, Dr. Silva's voice was tight. Angry. The combination was designed to be maximally effective at preventing and terminating pregnancy. This wasn't accidental contamination. This was carefully formulated to destroy any chance of you carrying a child to term. Atlas had been quiet through all of this. Now he spoke, his voice low and dangerous. Can you testify to all of this in court? Yes, and I will. Every word. Dr. Silva looked at me. I'm so sorry, Micah, for not doing more sooner. You're doing more now. That's what matters. The doorbell rang again. Rebecca Morrison arrived exactly at noon, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who carried herself like she'd won battles I couldn't even imagine. Micah Chun, she said as she shook my hand. Atlas told me about your situation. I want you to know, I've handled 30 cases like yours. Omegas being systematically abused by spouses and family members. And I've won 28 of them. What happened to the other 2? The Omegas decided not to testify. Couldn't face their abusers in court. I don't blame them. But I need to know right now if you're willing to fight this. Because if you are, I will get you justice. But you have to be all in. I thought about my mother's laugh. About Kale's empty eyes. About 7 babies who'd never taken a breath because these monsters had murdered them for money. I thought about the 8-week-old baby growing inside me right now. Fighting to live despite everything. I'm all in, I said. Rebecca smiled. It was fierce. Predatory. Good. Then let's destroy them. The plan was simple in theory. Harder in execution. I would call Kale. Pretend to be broken. Scared. Helpless. Everything they'd spent 5 years making me believe I was. I'd tell him I wanted to come home. that I was sorry for running, that I understood now, and I'd wear a wire the whole time. They'll be cocky, Rebecca explained. They think they've won. Think you have nowhere else to go. They'll gloat. Abusers always do. They can't help themselves. What if they don't? What if they're suspicious? Then we try something else. But Micah, this is our best shot at getting a full confession, at having them explain the entire conspiracy in their own words. She showed me the wire. Small, practically invisible. You won't be alone. We'll have police listening in the van outside your house. Alice will be there too. If anything goes wrong, they'll come in immediately. And if they try to hurt me, they won't get the chance, Atlas said. His voice was firm. Final. I'm not letting you out of my sight. We practiced the call a dozen times. Rebecca coaching me on what questions to ask, how to keep them talking, how to seem vulnerable while actually maintaining control. Remember, she said, you're not actually helpless. You're choosing to seem helpless because it serves your purpose. That's power. Real power. Finally, 3 days after I'd run from that house, we were ready. I sat in Atlas's living room with a wire taped to my chest and my phone in shaking hands. Atlas sat beside me, Dr. Silva on my other side, Rebecca, and 2 police detectives in the room listening. I dialed Cale's number. He answered on the first ring. Micah, just my name. But the way he said it, cold, annoyed, like I was an inconvenient problem he had to deal with, made my skin crawl. I want to come home, I said. Made my voice small. Scared. Everything they thought I was. Do you? Not a question. A statement. I'm sorry. For running. For saying those things. I was confused. Upset. I didn't mean. Where are you? A hotel. I've been staying at a hotel, but I'm running out of money and I don't know what to do in. Which hotel? I named one. Random. Nowhere near Atlas's house. I'm scared. Kate. The baby. I'm so scared something will happen to the baby, and I don't know how to. The baby. His voice changed. Got colder. You're still pregnant. Yes. 8 weeks now. Almost 9. I need to come home. Need things to be normal again. Can I come home? Silence. Long enough that I thought maybe he'd hung up. Then, is anyone there with you? No. I'm alone. I've been alone since I left. More silence. Then I heard another voice in the background. My mother. Saying something I couldn't make out. Cale came back on the line. Come home. We'll talk. You're not angry? We'll talk, he repeated. Come home, Micah. Where you belong. Where I belonged. Like I was a possession. A thing to be controlled. Okay. I whispered. I'll come home. Thank you. Thank you for. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, shaking. Alice put his hand on my shoulder. You did good, he said quietly. They're expecting me. Now what? Now we go to the house, Rebecca said. You go in wearing the wire. Get them talking. Get the full confession. And then we arrest them. And if they figure it out, if they realize I'm recording, then the police come in immediately. But they won't figure it out. They think you're broken. Think you're crawling back because you have nowhere else to go. Rebecca's expression was grim. They're going to gloat. Trust me, abusers can't resist. The house looked the same. Of course it did. 3 days wasn't long enough for anything to change on the outside. But I'd changed. Standing there looking at it, I felt like a different person from the one who'd run out crying 3 days ago. That person had been so desperate to believe in love that she'd missed all the signs of poison. This person knew exactly what monsters lived inside. Alice parked down the street. The police van was 2 blocks away. Everyone could hear everything through the wire. You don't have to do this, Atlas said for the 10th time. We can find another way. There is no other way. Not one that gets them to confess everything. I took a breath. Let out slowly. I have to do this. For the 7 babies they killed. For this one they're planning to kill. For every other Omega they might destroy if someone doesn't stop them. You're brave, Atlas said quietly. Braver than you know. I'm terrified. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. He reached over, squeezed my hand once. I'm right here. The second something feels wrong, you say the safe word and we're coming in. The safe word. We'd picked it that morning. Something innocuous, I could work in a conversation naturally, but that would signal immediate danger. Butterfly. I remember, I said. I got out of the car, walked up the driveway on legs that felt like they might give out any second. The front door was unlocked. Of course it was. They were expecting me. I pushed it open, stepped inside, and was immediately hit with how normal everything looked. Like the past 3 days hadn't happened. Like I hadn't discovered my entire marriage was a lie in this very house. Micah, my mother's voice from upstairs. Sweet. Concerned. Honey, is that you? I wanted to run. Wanted to turn around and get back in Atlas's car and never see either of them again. Instead, I walked to the stairs. Started climbing. They were waiting in the bedroom. Same bedroom where I'd found them 3 days ago. My mother was sitting on the bed. Kale was standing by the window. Both of them looked at me like I was a particularly interesting problem they were solving. You came back, my mother said, still using that sweet voice. That concerned mother voice that had comforted me through 7 miscarriages she caused. I didn't know where else to go, I said. Made my voice small. Broken. Everything they expected. Of course you didn't. She patted the bed beside her. Come sit, Anne. Let's talk about this. You said, every instinct screaming at me to run. But I had to do this. Had to get them talking. I'm sorry, I said. For running. For overreacting. I was just... When I saw you two together, I couldn't think straight and... You overreacted? Kale's voice cut through my apology. Micah, you ran into traffic. You disappeared for 3 days. You worried us. Worried them, right? I know. I'm sorry. I need to understand. Why? Why were you? I gestured vaguely at the bed. Why were you together? My mother and Kale exchanged a look. Some silent communication I couldn't read. Then my mother smiled. That same sweet smile she'd given me my whole life. Because we're in love, sweetheart. Surely you can understand that. But you're my mother, and he's my husband. Your husband who never loved you, Kale said bluntly. We've been over this, Micah. I married you for the money. Your mother and I fell in love while helping each other achieve our goals. It's actually quite romantic if you think about it. Romantic. The word tasted like poison. We didn't want to hurt you, my mother continued, still using that gentle voice. But honestly, honey, you have to see how convenient this is. You get your baby. We get the money. Everyone wins. I get my baby. I repeated carefully. Well, yes. We've discussed it. You're already pregnant. Might as well let you have this one. It'll keep you occupied. Happy. Less likely to cause problems. Less likely to cause problems. I dug my nails into my palms to keep my voice steady. But the other times I said, the 7 miscarriages. Were those, did we cause them? Kale finished. Yes. All of them. Well, most of them. A few you managed on your own. He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. Ow! I forced my voice to stay small. Confused. Hurt. How did you cause them? Do you really want the details? My mother asked. It'll only upset you. I need to understand. Please. I need to know what happened. They exchanged another look. Then my mother sighed like this was an inconvenience. Fine. The vitamins Kale gave you. Those were filled with birth control hormones and abortion medications. Mifepristone and misoprostol mostly, combined with hormone disruptors to prevent implantation. And the tea, Kale added. Don't forget the tea. Oh yes, the herbal tea. My mother smiled wider. Pennyroyal, black cohosh, blue cohosh, all very effective abortifacients. I'd bring you tea, you'd drink it gratefully, and within hours you'd start cramping and bleeding. Every time, my voice was shaking. Not pretend anymore. Real. Every single miscarriage was because of the tea. Most of them. The 14-week one was definitely the tea. You're getting too far along. Too many people knew. We needed you to lose it quickly. She said it so simply, so easily. I brought you that tea in the morning. You drank it. 6 hours later, you were bleeding in the car on the way to the hospital. I remember that day. Remembered the cramping that had started so suddenly. Remember my mother driving me to the ER while I bled through my clothes. Remembered her holding my hand in the emergency room while I cried. You held me, I whispered. In the hospital, you held me and told me it would be okay. Well, I could hardly tell you I just poisoned you, could I? She laughed. Actually laughed. That would have ruined the entire plan. The plan. I looked at Kale. Tell me about the plan. All of it. I need to understand. Kale crossed his arms. Studied me like he was deciding how much to reveal. Then he shrugged. Fine, you want the whole story? Here's the plan. I married you because you were about to inherit $30 million. Simple as that. You were 23, grieving your father, desperate for someone to love you. Easy target. Each word landed like a blow. But I kept my face neutral. Kept my voice small and broken. But 6 years, I said. Why wait so long? Because you couldn't access the trust fund until you turned 30. which is in, he checked his watch, 20 days now. We had to wait. Had to keep you under control until the money was accessible. The pregnancies were my idea, my mother said, almost proud. I suggested to Kale about 2 years into your marriage that we could use your desperation to have a baby as a weapon. Keep you trying and failing. Watch you deteriorate mentally. Document everything. Document every miscarriage, every breakdown. Every time you cried yourself to sleep or couldn't get out of bed or stopped seeing friends because being around their babies hurt too much. Kale's voice was clinical. Cold. We documented all of it. Built a file showing a clear pattern of mental instability. And then, my mother continued, right after you turned 30 and inherited, we'd file for emergency conservatorship. Present all that documentation to a judge. Your own doctor would testify about your mental state. 7 miscarriages, severe depression, obsessive behavior around pregnancy. The judge would see someone clearly not capable of managing $30 million. We'd get control of your estate, Kale said. You'd be institutionalized for psychiatric care. And your mother and I would finally be together with all that money to enjoy. 50-50 split, my mother added. We negotiated. I forced myself to breathe, to keep my voice steady, to get every detail on record. And this pregnancy? I touched my stomach. You said I could keep it. But before, 3 days ago, you said you'd kill it. Which is true. They exchanged another look. Something shifted in the air. Got colder. That was before you ran, Kale said slowly. Before you disappeared for 3 days. Before you walked in here asking questions like you're conducting an interview instead of begging to come home. My blood went cold. I don't understand, I said. But my voice wasn't quite steady enough. Wasn't quite small enough. Where were you, Micah? My mother asked. Her voice had lost that sweet tone. Really? What hotel? Because we checked every hotel in the city, and none of them had anyone by your name checked in. I used cash. Didn't want to use cards in case. In case we tracked you. Kale moved closer. Or in case someone else was paying for where you stayed. No one else. I was alone. I told you. You're lying. His voice was flat. Final. You've been with someone. Who? No one. I swear. Who? He grabbed my arm. Hard enough to hurt. Hard enough that I gasped. And in that gasp, in that moment of fear, I said the safe word without meaning to. You're hurting me. Let go. Please. This is making me feel butterfly, like I can't breathe. The front door crashed open downstairs. Kale's head snapped toward the sound. His grip on my arm tightened. What did you do? His voice was deadly quiet. My mother stood up from the bed. Did you bring police here? Did you? You're wearing a wire. You're wearing a fucking wire. She moved fast, grabbed the front of my shirt, ripped it open, saw the wire taped to my chest. You little bitch, she hissed. You recorded us. Yes. My voice was stronger now. Steadier. I recorded everything. Every confession. Every admission. Every detail of how you murdered 7 of my babies. Police. Don't move. The shout came from the stairs. Multiple voices. Heavy footsteps. Kale shoved me away. Hard. I stumbled back, hit the wall, slid down to the floor. Atlas burst into the room ahead of the police. Saw me on the floor. Saw Kale standing over me. His face went murderous. Get away from him. Atlas's voice was low. Dangerous. Get the fuck away from him right now. Who the hell are you? Kale demanded. Atlas Kane, your rival. The man who's been protecting your husband while you were planning to murder his baby. Kale's face went white, then red. You've been hiding him. You've been recording every word you just said, every confession, every detail of your conspiracy. Atlas moved between me and Kale, blocked him completely, and now you're done. The police moved in. Handcuffs clicked. Kale Carter, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, 7 counts of attempted murder, assault, coercion, and domestic abuse. Jess Chun, you're under arrest for 7 counts of attempted murder, conspiracy, distribution of controlled substances, and child endangerment. My mother laughed. Actually laughed even as they cuffed her. You can't prove any of this. It's our word against his. We have the recording, one detective said. Full confession. Both of you. Explaining in detail how you poisoned him, caused 7 miscarriages, and planned to kill the 8th pregnancy. We have Dr. Silva's testimony. We have test results on the vitamins. We have medical records. We have everything. This is entrapment, Kale snarled. Illegal recording. One-party consent state. The detective said almost cheerfully. Micah consented to the recording. That's all we need. You're done. They led them out, both of them shouting. Cale was threatening lawsuits. My mother was screaming about how I'd betrayed her, how I was ungrateful, how after everything she'd done for me, this was how I repaid her. After everything she'd done for me, she'd murdered 7 of my babies, and she thought I was the one betraying her. The house emptied. Police, detectives, my mother and Cale both gone in squad cars. And suddenly it was just me and Atlas in this bedroom, where everything had ended 3 days ago. I started shaking. Couldn't stop. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything but shake and gasp and feel like I was drowning. Micah, Atlas's voice. Close. Gentle. Micah, look at me. You're okay. You're safe. They're gone. I recorded it. My voice sounded far away. I recorded them confessing to murdering my babies. Yes, you did. You were so brave. They grabbed me. My mother tore my shirt. Cale grabbed my arm. I looked at the red marks on my arm. Proof. Evidence. They hurt me. I know. I saw. And that's assault. That's on video. That's more evidence. Atlas crouched down in front of me. Didn't touch. Just stayed close. You did it. You got everything we needed. They're going to prison. Micah, they're never going to hurt you again. The baby. My hand went to my stomach. Did I hurt the baby? When he pushed me. When I fell. We'll get you checked. Right now. Come on. He held me up carefully. Hospital. Make sure you and the baby are okay. I let him guide me out of that house. Past the bedroom where I'd found them. Past the stairs I'd run down 3 days ago. Past the doorway where they'd stood and shouted threats at me. I didn't look back. The baby was fine. Strong heartbeat, the ultrasound technician said. 9 weeks now, growing exactly as expected. I stared at the screen. At the tiny blob that was my baby, that had survived poison and stress and falling and everything these monsters had thrown at us. You're a fighter, I whispered to the screen. Just like I stopped. Wasn't sure how to finish that sentence. Just like your mother? Just like the person protecting us? Just like you, Atlas said quietly from beside me. The baby's a fighter, just like you. After the ultrasound, after they checked me over and confirmed I was physically fine, Rebecca showed up with updates. They're both being held without bail, she said. Judge agreed their flight risks and dangers to you. The DA is filing formal charges tomorrow. Based on the recording and all the other evidence we're looking at, she checked her notes. Cale is facing minimum 30 years. Likely more. Jess is facing minimum 25. That's not enough, I said. My voice was hollow. They murdered 7 babies. They should. I know. But the legal system doesn't recognize early pregnancy loss as murder. Not yet. The best we can do is attempted murder charges, and even those are hard to prove. But with the recording, with their confession, with Dr. Silva's testimony and the physical evidence, we have them. They're going away for a long time. What about my inheritance? The trust fund? Yours. Completely. Cale had no legal claim to it. Your father's was very specific. The money goes to you and you alone. And since you're clearly competent, not mentally ill, not unstable, just a victim of systematic abuse, there's no legal basis for anyone to contest your control of it. $30 million. The money they destroyed me for. I didn't even want it anymore. I want to donate most of it, I heard myself say, to Omega abuse organizations, to fertility treatment for people who need it, to anything that helps people they hurt. That's your choice to make, Rebecca said gently. But maybe wait until after the trial, until you're thinking more clearly. I'm thinking clearly. That money cost me 7 babies and 5 years of hell. I don't want it. I wanted to do something good. Okay. Rebecca made a note. We'll set that up. After the trial. The trial. There would be a trial. I'd have to testify. Have to describe every miscarriage, every loss, every moment of grief they'd manufactured. I can't do this, I whispered. Yes, you can. Atlas's voice. Firm. You just did the hardest part. You wore a wire and faced them and got them to confess. The trial will be hard. But you can do it. What if I can't? What if I get up there and fall apart? Then you fall apart. And then you get back up. And you keep going. He looked at me. You've been doing that for 5 years. Falling apart and getting back up. You're good at it. I don't want to be good at surviving trauma. I want to be good at living. So live. Start now. Start today. Start by making choices that are yours instead of theirs. I looked at him. At this man who'd lost everything and still showed up every day to help me survive. Who sat with me through nightmares and doctor's appointments and panic attacks. Who'd given me his dead daughter's lamb for my baby. Thank you, I said, for everything. For stopping that day. For believing me. For all of it. You've thanked me about 100 times. You can stop now. No, I really can't. You saved my life. You saved my baby's life. You saved your own life. I just made sure you didn't have to do it alone. He stood up. Come on, let's get out of this hospital. You need real food and rest, and to not think about any of this for at least a few hours. 3 months passed like a dream. Or maybe a nightmare I was slowly waking from. The trial was brutal. Sitting in that courtroom, listening to my mother's lawyer argue that she was just a concerned parent trying to help her mentally unstable son. Listening to Cale's lawyer claim the recording was taken out of context, that they'd been joking, that I'd misunderstood. But the jury heard them, really heard them. Heard Cale's cold voice explaining how he'd married me for money. Heard my mother laughing about bringing me poison tea. Heard every word of the confession. 3 days of deliberation. Guilty on all counts. Cale got 35 years. My mother got 30. When the verdicts were read, I was 17 weeks pregnant and showing. Sitting in the gallery with Atlas beside me and one hand on my growing belly. My mother turned to look at me before they led her away. You'll never forgive me, she said. No, I agreed. I won't. But I'll survive you. Me and this baby both. We'll survive, and we'll be happy, and you'll spend 30 years knowing you failed. They took her away. I watched her go and felt nothing. Not grief. Not rage. Just emptiness where love used to be. How do you feel? Atlas asked as we left the courthouse. Free, I said, and meant it. Going back to school was Atlas's idea. You gave up architecture, he said one morning over breakfast. I was 18 weeks pregnant and finally able to eat something besides toast. Why? Cale said it was too stressful. That stress was causing the miscarriages. Cale lied about everything. Maybe he lied about that too. I thought about it. About the dreams I'd had before I'd met Cale. About wanting to design homes that felt safe, that protected the people inside them. I don't know if I can go back, I said. I'm pregnant. I have so much to deal with. So deal with it while also doing something you love. The baby isn't due until July. School starts in September. You have time. You really think I can do this? I think you could do anything. You wore a wire and face your abusers. You testified in court. You're growing a whole human while dealing with the aftermath of 5 years of trauma. School is nothing compared to that. So I applied. Got accepted. Started classes when the baby was 2 months old. It was hard. Harder than I'd imagined. Balancing schoolwork and a newborn and healing from everything that had happened. But Atlas helped. Watched the baby when I had class. Brought me coffee during late-night study sessions. Never asked for anything in return. Why are you doing this? I asked him one night. The baby, Hope, I named her Hope, was sleeping in her bassinet. Alice was helping me with a design project. You have your own company to run, your own life. Why are you spending every free moment helping me? Alice was quiet for a long moment. Because helping you helps me. Because every time I see Hope alive and healthy, I remember that not every baby dies. Not every family ends in tragedy. And that makes losing Julian and Lily slightly less unbearable. I'm not a replacement for them. I know. You're not supposed to be. He stopped. Started again. You're just you. You and Hope. And you're the reason I wake up in the morning instead of wishing I hadn't. Atlas, I'm not asking for anything, he said quickly. I know you're not ready for anything more than what this is. I'm just telling you why I stay. Why I help. Because it helps me too. I looked at him. Really looked. At the man who'd accidentally almost hit me with his car 6 months ago. The man who'd lost his whole world and still showed up every day to help me build mine. I'm not ready for romance, I said carefully. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. The trust it's really damaged. I know, but I'm ready for family. For the kind you choose instead of the kind you're born with. For the kind that's built on showing up and being there and helping someone survive when surviving feels impossible. Atlas smiled. It was the first real smile I'd seen on his face. I could do family. Good. Because Hope needs people who'll love her. And I need someone who understands that healing isn't linear. That some days I'm okay, and some days I'm not. That sometimes I'll wake up crying about babies I lost, and sometimes I'll be fine. That, that you're human, that you're surviving, that you're doing the best you can. He reached over, took my hand. I could do all of that. Hope's first birthday was a small affair. Just Atlas and me and Dr. Silva and Rebecca and a few friends from school I'd slowly let in. No family. I had no family anymore. Not blood family anyway. But I had Atlas, who'd been there for every milestone. First smile. First laugh. First time Hope slept through the night. He'd been there for all of it. And somewhere along the way, the grief we'd both been carrying had gotten lighter. Not gone. Never gone. But lighter. She looks like you, Atlas said, watching Hope demolish her birthday cake with the single-minded determination of a 1-year-old. She looks like trouble, I corrected. That too. He was quiet for a moment. Julian would have loved her. Would have loved you. Both of you. Yeah. Yeah. He always said the best revenge against evil was living well. Building good things. Being happy despite everything trying to make you miserable. Alice looked at me. You're doing that. Living well. Being happy. Despite everything they did to you. So are you, I said softly. You're here. You're present. You're helping raise a baby that isn't even yours. That's living, Atlas. That's honoring Julian by not giving up. She is mine, he said quietly. Maybe not biologically, but she's mine. You're both mine. If you let me claim you. I looked at him. At this man who'd shown up every day for a year. Who'd held me through nightmares and panic attacks. Who'd learned how to change diapers and make bottles and soothe a colicky infant. Who'd sat in Lily's nursery and cried with me and somehow turned that room into Hope's nursery without either of us falling apart. Yes, I said. You can claim us. His eyes went bright. Yeah. But Atlas, I'm still broken. I'm still healing. I don't know when I'll be ready for. I don't care. I'll wait. However long it takes. He reached over. Wiped cake off Hope's face. She giggled and smeared more on herself. You're worth waiting for. Both of you. 2 years later, I graduated with my architecture degree, stood on stage with my diploma, and looked out at the crowd and saw Atlas holding 3-year-old Hope. Both of them cheering so loud I could hear them over everyone else. I'd done it, despite everything, despite 5 years of abuse and 7 murdered babies and a mother who tried to destroy me and a husband who'd never loved me. Y de surviva. And more than that, I'd built a life worth surviving for. After the ceremony, Hope ran to me with flowers she'd picked herself. Dandelions, mostly, and a few actual flowers Atlas had clearly helped her find. For you, Daddy, she said, shoving them at me. Because you did it. I did it, I agreed, scooping her up. We did it. We did, Atlas said quietly, coming to stand beside us. Not touching. Still careful about boundaries even after 2 years. You've worked so hard. Had help, I said, looking at him. Couldn't have done it without you. You could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to. Hope wiggled down, ran off to play with some flowers, left Atlas and me standing there in comfortable silence. I love you, I said. The first time I'd said it. The first time I let myself feel it. Atlas went very still. Micah, I love you. I'm in love with you. I've been for a while. I needed time to trust it. To trust myself. To believe it was real and not me being desperate for someone to love me again. It's real, Atlas said. His voice was rough. It's been real for me since about 6 months in. When Hope had colic and you were exhausted and I was walking her at 3 in the morning and you stumbled out and just took her from me. Didn't say anything. Just took her so I could sleep. And I realized I'd trust you with anything. Everything. Even your heart. Especially my heart. He cupped my face. Careful. Gentle. Giving me every chance to pull away. I love you too. Both of you. You're my family now. If you'll have me. We'll have you, I said. And then he kissed me. Soft and careful and perfect. Hope ran back over. Are you kissing? She sounded delighted. Are you going to get married now? Maybe, Atlas said, laughing. Someday, when your daddy is ready. I'm ready, I said. Surprised myself. I'm ready for all of it. For you. For us. For building something real. You sure? I'm sure. You've been my family for 2 years already. Might as well make it official. Atlas's smile could have lit up the whole city. Then let's make it official. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony. Dr. Silva walked me down the aisle. Rebecca was there. A few friends from school. Hope was flower girl. Took her job very seriously, threw petals everywhere. No family. No mother to watch me marry. No father to give me away. But I had Atlas. and hope, and everyone who'd chosen to be there for us. That was family enough. The vows were simple, honest. I promised to show up, Atlas said, every day, through the good and the bad, and the days when healing feels impossible. I promise to love you and hope with everything I have. I promise to honor Julian and Lily by living the life they never got to have. And I promise to be worthy of you choosing me. I promise to trust you, I said, even when trust is hard, even when my past makes me want to run. I promise to let you love me and hope without fear. I promise to honor the family you lost by building a family with you that's full of love and safety and joy. And I promise to choose you every day, because you chose me when I had nothing. You've always had everything, Atlas said. You just didn't know it yet. We kissed. Hope cheered. Everyone clapped. And for the first time in 7 years, I felt like I was home. Not in a house. Not in a place. In this man who'd stopped his car instead of driving past. Who believed me when no one else did. Who'd held my hand through the worst of it and stayed for the best of it. Home. 5 years after the trial, I was standing in my own architecture firm, small but successful, when my phone rang. The prison. My mother wanted to talk to me. I almost hung up, almost declined, but something made me accept. Hello. Micah. Her voice was older, rougher. Prison had aged her. Thank you for taking my call. What do you want? To apologize. To tell you I'm sorry. No, I said. You don't get to do that. You don't get to apologize and make yourself feel better. You murdered 7 of my babies. You tried to steal my life. You destroyed me. I know I did. And I regret it. Every day, I regret. I don't care. And I didn't. Her regret meant nothing. Changed nothing. You're in prison for 30 years. That's not enough for what you did, but it's what you got. And I'm happy. I have a family, a daughter, a husband, a career. Everything you try to take from me, I built anyway. I heard. The guards, they told me you got married. That you're an architect. That you named your daughter Hope. Hope Lily, I corrected. After the daughter, my husband lost. The one who died when she was born too early. The one who got to be born and held and loved, even if only for a few hours. 7 more babies than you let me have. Silence on the other end. Then crying. I didn't care about that either. I have to go, I said. My daughter has a dance recital. My husband is probably wondering where I am. My life is full and good and has no room for you in it anymore. Micah, please. Goodbye, Mom. I hung up, blocked the number, and went to watch my daughter dance. Because that's what surviving looks like. Not forgiving the people who hurt you. Not letting them back in. Just building a life so full of love and joy and purpose that their absence doesn't leave a hole. Hope graduated high school at the top of her class. 18 years old and brilliant, and so full of life it hurt to look at her sometimes. I'm going to study medicine, she announced at dinner. I want to be a fertility specialist. Help people like Dad, like Daddy Micah who struggled to have babies. I looked at Atlas. He looked at me. Both of us trying not to cry. That's wonderful, Hope, I managed. Dr. Silva inspired me, she continued. He told me about how he helped you, about how he figured out what they were doing and helped stop it. And I want to do that. I want to help people. You already do, Atlas said quietly. Every day, just by being you. Sap, Hope teased, but she was smiling. Later that night, after she'd gone to bed, Atlas and I sat on the porch of the house we'd built together. The one I designed. The one that was safe and warm and everything a home should be. She's going to be amazing, Atlas said. She already is. Like her parents. Like you, I corrected. You raised her. You showed up every day. You taught her what love looks like. We did that together, Atlas said. All of us. Hope. You. Me. The family we chose to build. Do you ever think about them? I asked. Julian and Lily. Every day. But it doesn't hurt like it used to. Now it's just bittersweet. Grateful for the time we had. Sad it wasn't longer. But grateful that loving them led me to you. You think Julian would approve? Of us. I think Julian would love you. Would love Hope. Would be so proud of the life we built. Alice pulled me closer. And I think Lily would have loved having Hope as a little sister. They would have been best friends. In another universe. Maybe they are. Maybe. Atlas kissed the top of my head. But in this universe, I'm grateful for what we have. For surviving. For building something good from all that terrible. Me too, I said. And meant it. Because that's what healing looks like in the end. Not forgetting what happened. Not pretending the pain wasn't real. Just choosing every single day to build something better, to love harder, to show up for the people who show up for you, to survive, and then to live. The end. For everyone who's survived abuse, for everyone who's lost what should have been, for everyone who's chosen to build something good from the ashes. You're stronger than you know, and you deserve to be happy.